Welcome back to Liberty Talk. If you just saw my last episode, I'm so excited to announce the Rick Dignard. He is going to host the new episodes on Liberty Talk Canada and Liberty called the Longshot. So this is the Longshot with Rick Dignard, and he's going to be interviewing people who are running for candidacy in the election, correct?
Yeah, well, they are candidates. They are actually the candidates. So
Right.
They are playing the same game that all of the others are that we're busy battling. They're long shots, newbies and long shots. So we want to talk to them and get their experiences and see where it is from their perspective and try and turn it around so that they can put some pressure on these people that think they're ruling us and change the dynamic.
So Rick is going to be interviewing people from different parties. Let me just talk to you guys a bit about who Rick is, and then he'll tell us why someone backed out for this evening. We do have Gölök here, and he is from Libertarian, and you're going to be interviewing him. Yeah. But you'll tell a funny story. Just everyone's so scared these days. But anyways, Rick is a former Citizens Assembly on Electoral Reform, former member, 2004. Former board member of No STV and Up 2000 for that referendum. No, VP. Former board member of No STV and VP of 2005 for that referendum, as well 2009. And he also was a board member for the HST referendum, which was the first time that they won in a referendum. Isn't that true?
It was the first time that the people actually stood up, got pissed off, and completely got rid of laws that government put in. And they did it very on the sly. They basically lied to us. They put in that tax when they said they wouldn't, got elected, changed their mind like 2 months after. We got pissed off. We all got together as people. And we turned that around. We had it for a short while, but we kind of brought the government of the day to their knees. And that's when Gordon Campbell actually stepped down, and he did more than that. He left the country. So it was people power. It wasn't politicians that did that. So you did a really great. Yeah, no,
it's not easy because I know there's a time limit. They make it very difficult.
That's right. And you had sorry, I always want to call her Gail, but Carrie Simpson. And she talks a little bit about recall and initiative. And that's what we used. We had a former premier and Bill Vander Zalm, for those that know, that we worked with. He was the figurehead, but it was so many people. Like, we had more people show up for that referendum than the election. It was pretty cool to see people just line up wanting to sign their names, and we turned it around. We shot it down. So because of the people, and Bill Vander Zalm was the first one to say that. It wasn't me, it was the people. So
cool.
Yeah, good experience.
So before we bring on our Libertarian guest, who Rick Dignard is going to interview, I'm just here to open the show, let everybody know that Rick will be hosting it, and then you don't have to look at my face anymore. What happened with the second person we were supposed to have on?
So I had a conversation. I noticed the Green Party had a little sort of setup in Sechelt where I live. And I thought, I got some time to come and go talk to this guy. Told him who I was and whatnot. And he was really good. Like, I talked to him for almost half an hour. He took all the tough questions. I asked him, why you're so quiet on some of the, bodily autonomy issues. And you guys sort of seem to blend in with all the other parties. And he was actually quite good in the conversation. And I said everything I wanted to say. Didn't always agree with me. I didn't always agree with him. But I said, listen, I said, would you like to come on a live sort of debate, or just to you're a long shot too, like he was a long shot himself, or is a long shot. I said, there's 30% probably of the electorate that are kind of thinking these things, but it never gets talked about on MSM. And he thought, well, that's a big demographic. I said, yeah, I don't know why your party isn't getting in on that. Like, why aren't you kind of paying attention to that? So he agreed to talk, and we had him lined up, and it was kind of a last minute thing where I had a conversation with him just hours ago and said, yeah, I've talked to my people and they've suggested I stay clear of this. And I said, well, what happened to, he actually used the term, I can't be whipped. I'm an independent thinker. You know, the more voices, the better, all the good, you know, feel good buzzwords and everything. And he just said, yeah, he said, I left him some information to go over so he wouldn't be sandbagged or anything like that.
Which was really nice. You left him some info about
Oh,
stuff.
tons of information. I
Yeah,
gave him.
so you weren't here to like destroy him. That's why I'm not. There's a reason Rick's doing this show and not me, because I don't have the temperament. But yeah, and you sent him the info to give him a chance to figure out his answers.
Absolutely, I gave him the answers to the test if that's the way he wanted to look at. Because I don't like putting people in tough positions on a live program. I wanted him to understand what, you know, I was going to be talking about. It was not the mainstream, and he seemed okay with that until the last conversation. He said, yeah, I went over your materials, and he said, my people has suggested I don't do this. So he wanted to blame somebody else. And I said, yeah, but you told me you're an independent thinker and you don't, you know, I can't be whipped and nobody can kick me out of my party. You know, the leader can't kick me out, like, because I told him about the ones that got kicked out of their parties. I mentioned that, you know, there's discipline, there's party discipline. I know how the game works. And he kind of tried to make it look like I'm new. I don't answer to that. I have to speak the truth, blah, blah, blah. Then he said, yeah, my people just said I can't do this. Don't give them a platform. And I said, well, listen, I said, if I've given you the wrong information, I need you to come on the show and straighten me out, because I hate misinformation. I don't
so
want
guys, if you missed, because Rick, I don't think you said that. Rick is the ambassador for Children's Health Defense out here in BC. So he sent him information to say, hey, like, this is the reality of the situation. Here's the science and stuff, just to see what he would say. But then he came back and saying, oh, it's misinformation. And didn't he say druthers is misinformation? And then what did you say to him after he said it's misinformation?
Well, yeah, he used the misinformation card. And I said, okay, perfect. I said, I need you to tell me what the misinformation is. I'm going to address this live because I hate misinformation. I want to go after misinformation. So would you just still please reconsider and come on the show and address what the misinformation is? We will straighten this out. We'll talk. It's a safe place. We're not here to get you or anything. And no, I can't. You know, he couldn't get off the phone fast enough, right? I was trying to keep him talking, and he just said, yeah, it's not going to happen, buddy. And I said, okay. I said, best of luck to you. I talked to some people that I know are Green Party members. They were so looking forward to him coming on the show, and I said, bring all your voters, bring all your supporters. Like it's a live question and answer, and like. And he was like, yeah, well, that's not a bad idea, right? And so I talked to a few of them, and how come Mike's not coming? I said, because he jammed out. I said, and I know of more than one person that said, I'm ripping up my Green Party membership. I'm done.
Because he wouldn't show up.
That's one reason. And the other reason is on the provincial level, First to Know's announcement to mask any human being on the planet. It doesn't matter if they're, 2 years old or whatever. Like,
who said that?
First to Know, like the elected, the MLA in the BC legislature. She's provincial, right? So she wants everybody to be injected and masked and like full-blown UN agenda.
This is the Green Party.
Yes. So that's the provincial. That's the provincial arm of it. But same thing. It's all globalist UN agenda, and there's no free thought. And he sounded like he was, decent enough to talk about his side of the, his reasoning for joining the party and whatnot, but completely flipped. Like once his handlers got to him, because he's pretty new, right? He's a long shot, and he had no chance as it was, and he's got zero chance now. But if he would have considered tapping into that 30% of us, that's a massive demographic that doesn't want their body messed with. And we're not seeing a lot of that, or we're seeing no sort of honor of that with the mainstream parties, like whether it's green, orange, blue, or red.
And guys, I want you to know that Rick, we got to bring our guest on, but Rick, he's making this big effort behind the scenes to try to inform members of the Green Party what's going on with the Jabba Jabba and all of the cover up and the true science. Like Rick is a background guy that gets things done. So thank you for trying. You're trying to wake up other people.
Yeah, it's all education, whether they show up or not. We're going to give them the opportunity. And thank you guys. I mean, you guys, you've changed the game. Like you have to understand how important, what you guys have created. This was never really available for us as voters. So you've got all these great people coming on, like Kerry and people like Mark Friesen and you're getting to know some of the other players that are kind of sympathetic to our cause. We may not all agree with them on every single thing, but they're starting to see that we can turn this tide because we don't have any media for us in the mainstream. We've created our own media. So look how fast all of these independent medias have popped up. So let's use that to our advantage. They're scared. I mean, these established politicians, they've never had to deal with this before. So they're going to do everything they can to shut us down.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so there's your host, Rick Dignard. I'm going to bring Gölök, and I'm going to get him to pronounce his name. Gölök, how do I say Buday?
Buday, I think. Buday.
Okay, sorry. We're going to let him say it. So I'm going to remove myself, and these two can have a fun time.
Thanks a lot, Odessa. Gölök.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy? You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Good. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. And sorry we didn't have another long shot with you, but you get more of the floor now. So
all right.
It's Gölök Buday.
Gölök Buday.
Buday. Okay. So cool. So you're with the Libertarian Party. You actually ran for the leadership, I believe. Didn't have success there. No. But so how what was that experience like? Like how many people were you running against, and how did that work for you?
There were about I think 5 or 6 running. There are probably maybe one more on the west side than the east side, and unfortunately, an Easterner won, but that was how it worked. I was hoping for a Western.
Right.
I was hoping for a good, strong Western strategy, right?
Okay.
Because we don't have to kowtow to strategic voting like everybody else. Everybody else, they're going to decide on the government before it might hit Saskatchewan. Maybe Saskatchewan will have a place in it, but Alberta and BC, I don't think we're going to have a say in anything but our own representatives. So right. We can basically vote for who we prefer locally.
Okay.
And that's the upside to our alienation situation.
Right. So do you have candidates like spread out through the country, or is there just a limited amount, or mostly West, or how does that work as far as?
Well, I'm the only candidate I know of so far because I started early, because actually I was ready to pounce on it when I first saw the first conservative ad I think in the spring, and then the NDP leader decided not to vote against the budget, and then I took a break a bit, and then I saw a news flash on the Epoch saying they were going to have one in August, and then I started prepping a bit, and I started collecting signatures quite a bit before the convention, and the Libertarian convention hit, and then they called it. And now I have enough signatures. Tomorrow I'll be going to file my papers. I expect to do it tomorrow.
Okay.
And this is the first time I'm mentioning it on any show.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then last time we had like 2 in Vancouver. We had them spread all over, as you say, and that was in 2019. There were less in Vancouver from 2017.
Okay.
There was just me and John Clark.
Okay.
The signature requirements tend to push people away, oddly enough, because a lot of libertarians aren't very professionally centered on politics, right?
Right.
I'm not either, but I'm a comedian and an illustrator and stuff. So, it's more flexible. But
Right.
a lot of people, have jobs and stuff like that. And that's just, it bogs them down, which
Right.
is also why Tim Moen had to quit the leadership. But I expect that we'll probably have quite a few candidates all across the country. I hope we have a lot in the West that can make a big impact.
Right. Okay.
But usually our strongest places are Ontario and BC, probably because we also have provincial parties of the same name. So that keeps the brand generating up. It's probably what also helps the Green Party, because they also have a common name throughout, and a lot of the other parties too, of course.
Okay.
If we had a Libertarian Party provincially, every province would probably do a lot better.
Okay. So just let the viewers know kind of what the mainstays of your policies are. Like I would assume that you are on board with people's bodily autonomy, us being able to make our own decisions. I know other parties sometimes talk that way, but they're shying away from that conversation in the mainstream. You don't get a lot of that opportunity. So can you give us a little bit of that from your perspective on this show?
Well, yeah, I mean, like Odessa said, when we were talking earlier, I'm frequently at these freedom rallies.
Yeah.
And it was actually my idea for us to bring the BC Libertarian Party formally to the October one last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a success for us. And it's because libertarians do truly believe in bodily autonomy. We believe we own our bodies, not the government. And the biggest problem with these other parties is a lot of them believe that the government owns our bodies, and they want to control us. They want to force medications on us and stuff like that. And that's happened before even COVID. That happened with the psychiatric systems in BC and some other places. Ontario had a huge suit over that. The government's always been trying to force treatments on people and kids with Ritalin in schools and stuff like that. All over North America, that they've been trying to pull that stuff out, and that's just wrong. I'm also a Mind Freedom Vancouver, BC affiliate, and we tend to oppose those things as well.
Okay.
Forced treatment and stuff like that. So, yeah, I am completely for bodily autonomy, choosing what you put in your body, and what you choose not to put in your body. It should be up to you.
Right. And I would assume any monies, government monies, I don't want to say government monies because that's our money.
Yeah, it's our money.
Any of our money being spent on how to, stay out of a hospital.
Borrowed money.
Yeah. So I guess that it's fair to say you would be in favor of directing those funds to keeping people out of those situations where they might need to be in a hospital or medications or, treatments and things like that.
Well, I support decentralization. I think what we need is less centralized authority involved in funding and governing, and we should just stop taxing people from that level on an personal income level and even the sales tax level. I mean, we force businesses to be tax collectors. And we're not even actually having people pay taxes. We're actually taking taxes, which is another horrible thing. I mean, it's not like we're saying, well, you make this income, you report it, and maybe you send us this much money. But it's actually what happens is they decide your boss has to send us this much money from your check. So which makes it even a bigger horror. And that's largely through central authority. I mean, the provinces could be in control of, how they collect revenue for these things. It'd be a lot better, and even more so on a community level. And hopefully the provinces would decide that to even give, municipalities a little more sway, have elected county governments that have more sway, things like that, rather than relying on a central government. Because when government funds things centrally, from Ottawa, they have these strings attached to these transfer payments, and they basically control how these programs work. And you could probably trace a lot of the problems that we even blame the provincial government on what Trudeau decides they have to do for these transfer payments. Granted, they don't they could always say, screw your transfer payments, we'll just go along. But the fact is, they're taking so much money from us and giving it to Ontario and Quebec.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with the equalization, I don't know how it's equal, but that's how it's working. And unlike the PBC, we don't believe in taking that money in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's where we differ with the PPC, by the way. We don't believe in taking that money in the first place. I saw an interview on Rebel recently of Bernier. He said he wanted to restructure it, make it more fair. And that just makes me more concerned that maybe we're going to just see another problem with the equalization payments in another direction.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as long as it's that statement means it has input from the public, right? So I've always been shocked that parties will say things like, we're listening, we want public input, and you know what it's like. It's just a token form you fill out and we've talked to you. But I've always liked the idea of a party platform where they actually have a seat at the table for a citizens component, like you would have a citizens chair at the table of a party, right? I've talked about this with some of the provincial people behind the scenes about alternatives in the provincial election, where it would be the only party that actually had like a citizens component in it, which I would love to see. And I know these kinds of things are being talked about.
The BC Libertarian Party does something like that. We have guest speakers occasionally at our policy meetings. And,
okay.
Federally speaking, I guess we're more like the herded cats. We're just like we're like a independent party, a party of independence that have a fundamental belief in liberty,
right?
And wanting to spread that and better everyone's ability to be individuals and communities to handle things. If communities were handling things better, if the money was still at home and nearby, people could even be their brother's keeper, it wouldn't really be as much of an issue federally. But and you wouldn't also have all this passing the buck stuff, right? Like who's responsible, right? Well, you should talk to your MP. You should talk to your MLA, says the MP. And then MLA says you should talk to your city councilor. And the city councilor says you should talk to the MLA. That
never happens.
Oh, no, of course that never happens.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I'm sure a few of us have been through that ringer.
Yeah, to the point where it drives you nuts. But so in your particular riding, so you're looking at this, obviously, you've got your party behind you, but you're really an independent. You're going to be up against probably the 4 established parties, probably.
Yeah. Well, here it's really more the NDP is considered basically the winner before she starts, right?
Yeah.
This is a non-marginal. Like the Conservatives, they never try here. The Liberals kind of try, but then they give up. The Greens probably put up their biggest effort in 2019, but it still wasn't a huge effort. And they both kind of agreed on everything, except the fact that Kwan liked to talk at people, and the Green candidate Burns, she liked to talk to people. Mm-hmm. That was basically the only difference. It was delivery. Mm-hmm. So, as far as I was concerned, I was pretty much the only alternative. I guess, in fairness, the PPC candidate was to some degree different.
Okay.
But and Trump putting out an effort, but and the two of us were lucky if we could get into a debate. Okay. We never ended up in the same one, oddly enough.
Okay. Do you talk to the PPC candidate there? Like, you guys have conversations, or?
Well, yeah, she's also a member of the BC Libertarian Party. So
okay, interesting.
She's also a candidate in a neighboring constituency provincially.
Oh, so, okay, that's cool.
So we do, yeah.
Well, that's good to know. That's good.
We swapped signatures too.
Okay.
Which is an old tradition with third parties.
I see. Yeah. So that's that's something that I think is going to have to be like an education for the voter to like, in my feeling, I'm always big on encouraging people to vote. And I've always been that way. I was involved in the electoral system, referendums and whatnot. But I have to say, the last election, I did not vote because I had no alternative. Like, all I had was, what did I have? A Green, a Liberal, and an NDP. I think that was it. Like, there was like 3 choices, and there was no independence. So I actually didn't vote because I didn't want to give my vote to any kind of a globalist agenda. So I hope
that's why I've always ran. I mean, it's like I realized that I could sit around. I'll have to guess whom I might be able to vote for, but I realized I might not actually be able to vote for anybody, because if I don't do it, no one else will do it, and it seems like that was the case. I mean,
Right.
I would not be able to vote for a libertarian if I didn't do it myself, and that was the same case provincially and so on. Even when I ran for mayor too, it's like there's some people close, but no, not right. So
Right.
I still had to do it myself. I would have loved it if there were other people who could have stood up and done it, got all the signatures, and been on the ballot, and I could have just voted Libertarian without having to run. But that wasn't in the cards for me. I had to be my choice, basically. Yeah.
Right. Did you ever consider getting involved with any of the mainstays, like the mainstay parties? Did you ever?
Oh, the major ones?
Yeah.
Well, the closest I've ever been in a sort of major party started as a minor party. That was the Reform Party.
Okay.
I was in the Reform BC and Reform Canada early on, then in the end of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, up to the United Alternative era, when I was very much against the United Alternative, and I was thrown out because of it. They bumped up some charge about anti-Semitism, but
the United Alternative, like where keep the country together and work together?
No. When the Reform Party decided they should become conservatives, Tories.
I see.
Neocons. They decided to sell out. That's why I'm not surprised about Jason Kenney and what he pulled, because he was part of that whole thing.
Okay.
Interesting. But I was on the libertarian wing of the reforms, and so I discovered there was a libertarian party, oddly enough, in some provincial election, because I was living next to the usual libertarian candidate when I was downtown, and I eventually went to the website. It said, "Are you politically home?" I said, "Yeah," and I decided to join. And for a while, I was like kind of off and on because I'm not much of a joiner, so I kind of a little prickly about being a member of something. But
yeah.
But eventually,
I get it.
Eventually, I stuck by it. I'm also kind of a long-term, also a Rhino member as well.
Okay.
Just because I'm a satirist, but
okay.
But I decided to run serious, and so I been stuck with libertarian.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you're doing that, and thank you for doing that, because I can only imagine how tough it is. I've never run myself. I've always felt like I'm a lot more effective kind of in the backgrounds. I've worked with tons of politicians in the past, and I've sort of seen how they work from all parties. And I've actually anything I ever got involved with was from multi-party positions, where we would have 5 or 6 different types of political person in the room, and we'd be working on a common goal. And those always seem successful because no one party's always right or always wrong. So it's going to be a different kind of election, because I think the fact, I don't know, maybe you think I'm off, but I figure there's at least a 30% demographic, if you go back to last election, that was basically ignored. Like, that just said, why bother voting? Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm sure there are quite a few people who voted because I was on the ballot and they actually had a choice. I'm sure that was very helpful to them. It was helpful to me because I would have gone to voting booth like usual and put not applicable in each of the circles and just spoiled it just because I thought I should at least show up.
Yeah.
But because usually it's just so horrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, if people aren't going to be there to be that alternative voice for them, the voiceless will have nothing to say at the ballot box, and
exactly.
Why would they show up, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not educated about their choices too, I mean, if not enough people know that they have this option, they also might stay back and not go out. So it's important to also get around and send that message about it.
Yeah, that's why programs like this are so important, because when you talk about that group of people that it's so horrible, I'm not going to bother, or I'm going to spoil my ballot or whatever. If you actually, sort of dissect that, you have a group of people there that if you had them all put their energies into one spot, that's actually a majority government in this country. If you actually look at the numbers of how we elect, like our prime minister was elected with somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 million people in a country of 40 something million. That doesn't mean they're all registered, but what I'm saying is you can have a guy like Trudeau with as little as, whatever it is, 25-30% of the support. What's really kind of funny about it, not funny, but sort of an odd thing, is that he got less votes than Andrew Scheer did. Andrew Scheer actually had more than 6 million, like by a few 100,000, and they lost. And he was looked at as a failure, yet he got more votes, or the popular vote, right?
Yeah.
Got more than the Liberals, right? So there's all these dynamics that are in play, but I still maintain to people, if you're saying I'm not going to vote, and you pooled those voices together, that's a majority government in Canada.
Yeah, and you at least got to leave your opinion. You got to put your opinion out, even if it is doing that thing I did a few times, putting NA in each of the circles and spoiling it. At least you showed up there, and your vote doesn't count to anybody. And if you have no other choices.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also important that people run, for their positions as independents, as libertarians, PPC, True North, whatever you want to do, run as, run where your heart takes you, vote where your heart takes you. I mean, and spread the word about it. I mean, that's why I'm even unusual about libertarians when I'm on on new tech.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. And I try to spread my word everywhere, Gab, Minds, even some of these smaller ones, like, I can't remember that. Just looking at it.
This one, Librti?
No, Librti, yeah. I did just open one up there, but Orbis,
Okay, yeah.
Orbis as well. And someone once tweeted me about it, and I went, well, I'm going to post something on there too. It's like Facebook. But as many places I can spread the information so people can know, and and posting alternative news sources like Epoch Times and Rebel, and even your show is a good thing. Post it everywhere. Oh yeah, Float's another good one too.
Okay. Actually. And I assume you're familiar with Druthers, the hard copy, Druthers.
I've got a copy of it somewhere around here.
Yeah, they're quite a topic of conversation for people that have never seen it before. And I was just with a group last night and left a whole bunch, and they were just like, wow, I didn't, they don't even know it's there. So that's why programs like this are so important for.
Well, they've done quite a good job spreading it around, though, haven't they?
100%. Yeah, it's all across.
It's just outside of a garage or something.
Well, the guy who created it, Sean Jason, is out of Toronto, and I guess they just did some local copies and got a little bit of money from donors locally, and then it kind of exploded where there was a lot more donors coming in, so he was able to ship pallets of them to all the provinces. So we've basically a bunch of us have volunteered to get those out to other people and fan it out, right? Because everybody needs to chip in a little bit. So I find it amazing what they've been able to do with.
And that's good, because between elections, I was trying to put out a local libertarian newsletter, I could only get so far with my first one before another election hit. So, but I still have copies of it. But I think it's important to hit the in real life crowd. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to go online and stuff like that, and you have to make sure these messages can get out and people know their options there too. Because I mean, a lot of people aren't going to necessarily go on social media. They're not necessarily even going to search a website or anything like that. They might not even want a computer. Who knows? And even with a video, you can actually show them your phone while it's playing and do that if they haven't seen it. And
I know where
sort of what the great thing about some of these rallies have been too. It's brought a lot of people together who have certain common ideas and stuff like that, which in real life, not just over keyboard warrioring.
Right. Yeah, I know some of the folks I've met here, especially when I go further up the coast. It's not uncommon to not be on a computer, like older folks, right? That they like to read papers and they like, sometimes family print stuff off for them that they can read. But I'm amazed at how knowledgeable some of these people are just from books they're reading, and they don't even know how to turn on a computer, some of them. So I'm giving them a steady stream of these Druthers magazines. All of their friends are getting copies of it. They're going to go vote. They vote, but they just don't get online. So again, another demographic. So where you are, I mean, in your riding, if you're, constantly around the people and showing your face and telling them what you stand for and explaining how the system works, I mean, tides can turn pretty quick. Well,
I also live here too, right? I'm not a fly-in candidate. That's also important. I think you should always see if your candidate's living where you live, where you are too. Make sure it's like a neighbor. I mean, even ask them if they can present you with at least a building address or something like that. Because it's kind of important to some people that they've actually seen you, roll out the garbage every week or something like that.
Right.
You're kind of one of them. You're a bottom-up type, not a top-down type.
Exactly.
A lot of these fly-in candidates are just, usually party. What do you call them? What would you call them? Hacks or goons, stuff like that,
Yeah.
And even some of them, after they get elected, they get a house in West Vancouver and they never show up in the constituency again.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's how the game works. But we have to educate the voters, I think, and they have to be willing to want the information too. Like, you can only spoon feed so much. So if those people are doing the exact same things they've done their whole lives, then expect a similar result, right? So, what are some of the challenges? We'll cut off pretty soon here, but what are some of the challenges that are facing you with town halls and debates? Like, are you going to get an opportunity to go up against some of the other candidates, or like, how does that work for you?
Well, it's kind of like a flip of the coin. I do email out all these places that tend to hold them and stuff like that, so I make sure they know about me and all that. The last time I was invited to a lot of, a few of them, and I managed to get I walked into a place and I got to make a speech afterwards, at one of them, at the Longhouse over here, and nice people. And it's a flip of the coin. I mean, it was weird. I was a libertarian and I was left out of the business improvement of all things. The Strathcona business improvement actually left me out of a candidate meeting. But I got into the Carnegie thing and stuff like that. And I do well in these events. The Britannia, they usually invite everybody. But it can be hard. There's usually one or two that will avoid it. But during this COVID situation, I'm not even sure what the hell's going to go on. The provincial election had no in-person stuff, not even outside.
Yeah.
But they could have put out a tent or something.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, if you're not getting the exposure when, you know, the people are there for the other parties, the high profile parties, is there anything stopping you from, say, you, the PPC candidate and an independent, just having setting up a tent and having a Q&A at a park or a community hall or something like that? Is there anything stopping you guys from doing something like that where they can talk to you directly?
I'm not sure we're allowed to really pool resources inter-party wise, but I mean, we could possibly. I mean, if I had enough donations at some point, and I'm not asking for them right now because I don't have an account or anything. I have to file tomorrow and deal with that later. But if I, you know, had the donations and stuff like that, or I guess the party could send a payment out, maybe I could possibly put up a tent and have an event or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
but it's also hard to, you know, get that message out through the media. If I were in the rural areas, they're a little more open-minded in the media. So libertarians tend to get into rural newspapers a lot easier than we would get, like, in a libertarian. Libertarians tend not to get city papers. I mean, there's like one guy at the Straight who does it occasionally, and he usually tries to pin us into a fringe issue, like raw milk. I don't even care about raw milk. I mean, it's like,
it's not that it's not important, but it's a sideshow, I guess, to what's going on.
Yeah, fine. I don't care if people drink it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's a body autonomy issue. It's not.
Okay. Well,
we should call it that in general.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, probably the closest place that's coolest towards libertarian thought is probably Glacier, and sometimes they'll do something, sometimes they won't.
Okay.
They were good to me in the last mayoral run. That was, but it is hard to get the message out in the media, so it's kind of hard to get the message out about events and press conference type stuff.
Right.
Community wise, I mean, it's also probably not too easy to figure out how to handle park board stuff either. But bigger parties have lawyers and stuff like that that deal with it, and I don't. But I mean, I go all over the place, right? Right. I got a bad knee, and I'll still walk all over the constituency. I'll take a bus up far north as it goes, and take a long walk, and I'll take a long walk down southward, and I'll meet with people and give them information about me. You know, I beat the pavement. I work hard for every vote. But it's better if I do have other people helping out too. I mean, if the more people help out, you could project possibly whatever I got last time would probably increase quite a lot per person, putting out flyers and making sure that the constituency knows more about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you expecting to have a team, like, after you sign your papers? Like,
well, I have met with some members. I actually had a list this time. I've actually talked to a member or two, and I've met some enthusiastic people around here. So they're interested in spreading the word and keeping it and helping out if they can. So it's a little better than last time in that sense, but I like to be optimistic that I can build some, I guess what Ross Perot would call a brush fire. No, was it? No. Oh God, I'm quoting Don Hagelin. You know, it's a bad time when you're quoting Yoga Flyer. Maybe it was a brush fire.
Every fire starts with a spark. Right?
Grassroots. There's a lot of grassroots potential. It's probably easier to run that grassroots potential in a rural area, but you know, I want people to see that they have an option, and you know, I'm glad I'll have an option. That's important to me as well. and you know, we got to fight the establishment somehow.
Right, right.
We can't do it from our seats.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a message that we all would agree on, even if we're from different political backgrounds. We got to get off the couch and start getting active and look for your alternatives. If you're not happy with the status quo, be looking for those alternatives and put some effort into it, because it's getting to be go time for humanity, as far as I'm concerned. So
BC doesn't have to vote strategically. I mean, we could have candidates from several different parties all over BC winning seats, and
right,
it'll make it more interesting. It'll actually look like some sort of opposition.
Sure. Okay, well, I just want to thank you again. So I just want to go over your riding. It's East Van. Is that the proper? Just
East Vancouver. Yeah.
East Vancouver riding. Okay.
No,
well,
Vancouver East. Actually, it's reversed. It's Vancouver East.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck, and I hope people that watch this that live nearby or in the riding maybe get in touch with you. And what's the best way to get in touch with you if they want to help out with handing out flyers or just getting your interview out or whatever might help you?
Well, my website is East Vancouver. No, sorry, I almost got that wrong. It's eastvanlibertarian.com, and on the side you'll see all the social media accounts linked there, and
okay.
And there are articles stemming back to the 2019 campaign on the other side, listed downward. On the other side, and then down the middle are the articles most recent.
Okay.
To all there, but
okay, well that's good. Hopefully people go check that out and offer you some help. And you're an alternative. You're a long shot, but things do turn around. And you look at history, and I look at past elections where the majority government got reduced to like 2 seats the following, depending on what was happening in society, right? So
Goliath fell, right?
Goliath fell, and so did Rome, and everything else. So, I just commend you for putting your name forward, and we're going to try and talk to some more people that are those long shot candidates, and hopefully people resonate with some of the things you're saying that aren't being talked about in the mainstream. So again, we have to thank Librti for having these programs where we can talk to people like yourself, and thank you for doing what you're doing, and best of luck.
Good on you for doing this, and the Greens are fools to quit and not do this.
I was sort of when he backed out, I was a little bit surprised, because he seemed sort of got so gung ho in the beginning, and then I thought to myself, he's got a manager, and that manager is not going to be so keen on this interview. But the Greens had an opportunity to be here to talk to us, and we wanted to provide that, and they've chosen not to. So too bad. We'll still offer that to anybody that wants to. We may have a conservative coming on here. We've got a few others from different parties that we're going to be inviting, and it's an opportunity for them if they feel that there's misinformation coming from some of the people on the freedom side of things. Then let's straighten us out. Maybe we can learn something. But so far, no takers. But you did, and good on you. And I appreciate it, and wish you the best of luck. Okay, Gölök?
All right, thanks very much.
Okay, take care. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.